Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar, Capture Process Plan with Skycatch and our host, Juniper Unmanned. My name is Jackie Gilbo, Marketing Director from Skycatch, and I'll be assisting our presenter here today, preparing the questions and monitoring them as they come in. So feel free at any point in the webinar to type a question into the chat box in the GoToMeeting window, and I will prepare those for the end. However, Jason will be sharing the heart of the content today. So without further ado, take it away, Jason.
Thanks, Jackie. And hello, everyone. My name is Jason Sansucci. I'm with Juniper Unmanned. I was really happy when Jackie asked me to give a webinar. I've been using the Skycatch system for, I would say, probably 4 or 5 months now, primarily just doing my own little independent research and working also some jobs and trying to rolling it into our portfolio here at Juniper Unmanned. But today we're going to be sort of comparing and contrasting, and I'm a big believer of less is more. So this presentation has 7 slides, and we're going to get off that slide here pretty quick. Let's get on to the next one. Here we go. Jackie's introduced herself. My name is Jason Sansucci. So I work with Juniper Unmanned. I'll call myself the principal drone nerd. I'm a solution architect. I've worked 18 years in this industry. Got a bachelor's from the Air Force Academy, a Master of Engineering in University of Colorado at Colorado Springs. None of those are in GIS or geomatics. They're actually in space operations or astronautical engineering. So from rocket science to dirt science, it's been kind of fun. I'm also a AUVSI certified top remote pilot, so I do a lot of flying as well. It's a lot of fun for me. Level 3 thermographer. I do a lot of really cool things with long wave infrared. And then I also have my own little podcast that I have that you can get on Amazon, iTunes. It's called Do You Know Drones? Comes out every week. It's a micro podcast. It's only 2 minutes. We have a lot of fun. So that's me. Let's jump in. All right. So what are we going to talk about? So that's me. Let me learn a little bit about you. So I'm going to launch a couple polls. Let's do the first one here. Launch this. There we go. Give you guys a few seconds to answer this question to see who you are. Awesome. Couple more seconds. Got a lot of votes. All right, here we go. Let me close this off. And let's share. I like to share. It's a lot of fun. Let's see who we got going with us today. So we have 36% construction, 29% survey. That's a big bulk of folks. Survey firms and people in the construction industry. A few drone service providers and a few people within ag, and a fewer number in mining. But we have a pretty diverse audience here. So this is really great. Let me ask one more question. What do you do for your company in your industry? What do you do in your industry? Here we go. Looks like pilots may be winning. Come on, project managers, let's go. Awesome. All right, let me close that poll. I'll share these responses. Looks like we have a big majority of people that are innovation, you're a tech lead, or you're pilots. So this is great. You're going to really, really enjoy this webinar. We're going to dive pretty deep into and just have a really great discussion on these 2 workflows. And we're going to do that with 1 slide. And this is going to be pretty great. So like I said, less is more for me. So let me hide these results and let's move on. So what we're going to talk about. Talk about a tale of 2 workflows. Kind of a fun little play there. We're going to talk about, dive deep into a compare and contrast in planning, setup, control, whatever geodetic control that you're using or ground control that you're using, whether it's GCPs, PPK, RTK. Talk about the actual flight operations, talk about data processing and delivery. And then at the end, we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. But let's dive right in. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, I actually have one more question for you that's specific. This is the question I wanted to ask. which method of precision control do you like to use? Which one do you think is better? Which one do you prefer? Oh, this one's fun. Here we go.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. All right. No, this is going to be fun. All right, I'm going to close this. I'm closing it and I'm sharing it. All right. 56% of you, a big majority, use ground control. That's awesome. You know what? I am all for ground control as well. I hope by the end of this webinar, you also can see that PPK is a really great thing when done with the right platform. So let me go and close that. And that was a good little setup for what I'm going to talk about next. All right, so I'm going to spend a lot of time on this next slide. This is the tale of two workflows. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this slide. You'll notice that we have two workflows. We have the Skycatch high precision package. Now that includes the Explorer One, which is basically a custom modified DJI M100 with a lot of smarts on it. Its own independent processor, its own RTK controller, and then it also has the Edge One processor. The Edge One, the high precision package, has the Edge One, which is a combined base station edge computer that actually does the processing on site, which is just kind of mind-blowing from my perspective. And then obviously on the common GCP, we're just going to assume that all of this is done on the same AOI, right? Let's just assume it's all done on the same area of interest, a 30 to 50 acre site. Really, as we start to dive in, you're going to see that a lot of these things are very much the same, because if you're trying to plan a mission, so let's start at the very beginning, planning, right? You have to do all of your pre-flight. You have to plan the mission, all of your equipment readiness, everything in the regulatory space, all of your permissions, all of that has to be done. And obviously you have to plan everything related to the scope of the job that you're doing. So making sure you're using the right equipment. So not just saying, I have this drone, I'm going to the site with it because it's what I have. You're fitting the data, the mission, to your equipment that you're going to be using. Now that same process you have to do for both sets of equipment. So really the amount of time that you spend in planning for both of these missions, in my mind, because I've used them both over the last 7 years, like I said, the last 5 months, pretty exclusively with Skycatch, but I've done lots of other flight planning missions in every single mission planning software you can imagine, flying many different drones, of all different modalities. So in automated photogrammetry missions and all types of missions. And so this is just kind of like a common GCP workflow versus a Skycatch high precision package. Now, so there's really no difference in the planning. The planning that you go into this is really no difference. You have to go through the same process. Now, setup also the same. All of your safety hardware, all of your cordoning off, your notifications, everything you have to do on the safety side, your PPE, all of that has the same setup regardless of the mission. You may also have to cordon off your base station, but that'd be the only additional thing you'd have to do with the Skycatch. The common GCP, still same setup. Obviously, it would require to gather more hardware because you'd have to actually get the ground control points, whether you're using the more automated ground control or more of the more traditional aerial control points and surveying them in. You have to make sure you have all the equipment. But just to keep things fair, I'm going to say that the setups are from the timing perspective, they're about the same. So now let's move into where things really start to change. Now, with the Skycatch system, let me start with GCPs. With the GCPs, you have to, if you're a one-person crew, let's just say right now, you're a one-person crew, or even if you're a two-person crew, you still have to lay those GCPs out. So obviously, as the size of the area of interest grows, the number of GCPs and the distribution of those GCPs, they grow with the size of the site, right? They grow fairly linear with the size of the site. So with the Edge One and with the Skycatch system, you don't have a GCP requirement. I would highly recommend throwing down a single GCP, just one GCP, just so you can do that accuracy assessments. You can have that thing that the surveyors like to see, just to verify the data that you receive or that you're getting, you verify that accuracy. With the GCP method, you have to have obviously your checkpoints and your control points. You can't use the checkpoints as control points. There's just more points that you have to lay out in that distribution, and you have to access those areas. You have to shoot them in. There's just a lot that needs to happen there. So it's a long process, depending on the size of the site, to lay down GCPs. And I've laid GCPs. They take a long time to lay them out, shoot them in. It's a process. Even with the automated ones, still a process. The Edge One, you leave it on for 5 minutes. You go to the iPad, you go to the Edge One app, you turn it on, you connect to an RTK network, you connect that RTK network, you let it bake for 5 minutes, and you're ready to go. During that time, you're setting up your takeoff location, you're setting up your, whatever communication you're having with the customers happening during that period. You're assembling this Explore 1 UAV, putting the battery in, making sure everything's good to go. By the time that 5 minutes is done, you're ready to fly. So I'm going to start on the left side of this. So now the flights, you'll notice, they're the same, right? You're going to fly with the same overlap, side lap, battery swaps. You're going to have all of those same things. They're going to be the same because it's still a photogrammetry mission. You're still going to have a nadir-looking camera. If you're using just, like I said, if you're using a nadir-looking camera, you're still going to be using that. You're still going to have a required overlap and side lap with the number of battery swaps depending on the size. None of that really changes between each of these workflows. So I kept them the same. Now, when you're done, now you don't have to do this, but I recommend it as part of the workflow. I leave the Edge One on for 5 more minutes while I'm while I'm deconstructing or while I'm disassembling the Explorer One and putting it back in the box. By the time that's done, I just let it bake a little bit longer. It seems to add a little bit more accuracy. Just let it bake a little bit longer. Let it have that stand time. So I let it go 5 more minutes. Now, by that point, with the other workflow, I'm still laying GCPs, likely. Now, by the time you're almost done laying GCPs, I'm actually processing data. So you take the SD card. This is really neat. Just take the SD card right out of the UAV, and you plug it directly into the Edge One. You lift up a little latch, you plug it right into the Edge One, and you go to your iPad app and start processing. You put in your coordinate system, you put in the products that you want, and it starts processing directly in the base station, right there on an NVIDIA GPU. It's a very neat process. Depending on the size of the site, it takes about the same length as you flew to do the processing, depending on the size of the site, obviously. The bigger the site, the longer it's going to take, but also the longer it's going to take to fly. So it's close to a 1-to-1, depending on the type of product that you want. If you want something they have different processing levels. If you want the highest processing levels of everything, it could take longer. But then while the common GCP, like if I was doing the regular method, flying with an Inspire, flying with an M600, flying with whatever other drones out there that I'd be flying a photogrammetry mission with, I'd still be flying when I'd be delivering the data with the Skycatch. And I thought this was amazing. I actually was in the field down in Colorado Springs and literally took a USB stick so you plug a USB stick into the Edge One, and you can export it right to that USB stick and then hand that directly to the customer. I thought that was just kind of mind-blowing. Now, I've always been a proponent of pilots not being data people, and data people not necessarily, it's crossing those two worlds is not something that's common all the time. Like there are people that are, and it's a growing number, and it's exciting. I'm very glad that there are, but still the old mindset is like, pilots, you are flying to collect good data, but you aren't data people. So there's still going to be a handoff in the common GCP method to a data person, most likely. That's how most outfits do it now. That's how we did it at Precision Hawk, and we did it at most other places. The survey guy, the data guy, the pilot, they're not the one doing the data processing. It'll go to a data processing person, outfit, office, subcontractor. It'll go to someone else. That's different in the Skycatch. In the Skycatch, it does it for you. I don't have to put it onto another machine. It's all right there. It never goes to a computer. It never goes to the cloud. If I'm using the HPP package with the Edge One, it just goes right into the SD card goes into the Edge One, USB with ortho, point cloud, all of that just pops out and is ready to hand to the customer, which is awesome. If I go back to the common GCP method, I have to transfer that to an office, right? Either I'm driving back to the office, I'm sending it to the cloud, depending on the cybersecurity requirements for that customer. There could be a courier, there could be secured drives. Just really depends on the customer. And then I can finally start processing. So then the process is longer there too, because I have to tag the ground control points. And depending on the number of them, that takes a little bit. To zoom in and plug, get to the right scale and actually put the point right in the middle. That just takes, and then try and tag them in multiple photos. That process, if you've done it, and I'm hoping a lot of people on this call have, it takes a while. And then you can start processing. Then the delivery process for the common GCP process is still a little bit longer. You're either delivering it offline or delivering it online. So you have to upload data or you have to ship data, and that just takes longer. So the common GCP process I think it's pretty clear. It just takes much longer, and time is money, and time and the number of complexity and people that you have to use for the common GCP method commonly is just more, right? So it's less people you can be the lone wolf Skycatch person, which I've done multiple times for testing over the same site. That's actually one thing I'll talk about, the data consistency with the Skycatch using the post-processing kinematic that's happening in the Edge 1. The consistency is I would say probably no more than a pixel off, or less, like less than a pixel between different captures on the same site. So that's been extremely impressive to me over time. And the 3D accuracy as well. Like if there's a stockpile that hasn't changed, there's not going to be a percentage difference in the Skycatch data. I haven't seen it yet. So it's been like one-to-one comparing accuracy and precision. You can get the same accuracy and precision with the Skycatch as you can with the common GCP workflow. One just takes a significantly less amount of time. One you can do with one person, the other one you'd have to do with a team. So that's kind of the overview of this. I don't want to dive into specifics. I didn't want to show you like every single step of the process. I encourage you to see a demo of the Skycatch. I encourage you to see the data. I encourage you to read the white papers. There's a Skycatch accuracy characterization white paper that's on the Skycatch website that is extremely telling. Like they're getting some incredible accuracies consistently using the Skycatch. You're going to get those same accuracies with GCPs. It's just going to take a significantly longer period of time. So it's just better to save time. We all want to save time with less people to be able to have a customer and be able to walk. Basically, you can go from site to site to site to site with the Skycatch with just the same things. I don't have to go pick the GCPs back up. I don't have to do that. It's just so much easier as you start to take this and you put it over. This is just one site. If you put it over multiple sites, you're going to get a massive amount of efficiency gain. So I've just been very impressed with this workflow. I wanted to compare them at least apples to apples. I know Skycatch has a lot of information on their website related to comparing apples to apples with other methods. I just wanted to showcase the timing of it, which is the thing that's really impressed me. I've been in the field when they were doing a traditional photogrammetry mission with an Inspire, an Inspire 2, and I was flying at the same time, and I was done way faster than those guys were, and they weren't even using GCPs. It was just a basic test. So obviously my data is going to be much more accurate than theirs. And there's lots of data out there that shows the accuracy of this. We're not getting into it in this particular webinar. Let's see. Let me take a second. It looks like we have one question so far. We're going to hold them to the end. I just want to make sure that we have time to get through them. And please, if you have more questions, throw them into the question box and we'll get to them as soon as possible, as soon as we get to the end of this webinar, which we're almost done. I just want to tell you, actually, I'm going to pass it back to Jackie, and Jackie will tell you all about this all-in-one solution.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. So just really quick, the accuracy white paper that he was referencing, you can find that on skycatch.com/accuracy. Super easy link. Go ahead and find that. But overall, the high precision package is just a complete end-to-end solution to capture, process, analyze, And like Jason mentioned, the ability to do this completely in field. How you're able to do that is with the GNSS combined base station and in-field data processor. So as Jason mentioned, you can pop that SD card in, see your site data, obviously site depending, but in as little as 15 minutes. This gives you 2D maps, 3D point clouds. You can do object removal to have a bare earth surface model, and also have this data reprojected into your local coordinates, which I think is really unique. There's also a cloud solution if you need to do markups, measurements, overlays with unlimited processing, sharing, and users per project. So if this sounds interesting to you, feel free to reach out to Jason or myself. We can talk in more detail about pricing or services, consultation, and training that you need for your next project.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. Well, let me just, before we get to the questions, I just want to sort of talk a little bit about Juniper. If you haven't heard of Juniper Unmanned, we're based in Golden, Colorado. We are a data and analytics company, right? We do fly UAVs, but we also do a lot of things. We do a lot of other things as well. We're all about the data, and really that's kind of the only thing that we want. And we're all about safety. We recently got our A grade within ISNet World for safety tier 1 operations with a large utility company. We've been working with AUVSI and the Trusted Operator Program as a certified service provider, and we've done missions everywhere in a lot of different industries: oil and gas, construction, transportation, utilities. Obviously, it's another big one, and engineering. And you can see Tim Saffold, if you know Tim, Executive VP of UAS Solutions for AECOM. Juniper is the only U.S. company that they trust to operate their sites. They do some things themselves as well. They have their own fleet. But if they're calling in a subcontractor to get some specific or advanced analytics or advanced sensing, they call us. And we've been doing this for a very long time. We have people that have, good military backgrounds, unmanned aviation, remote sensing. We have safety professionals. It's a great company. I've really enjoyed working here for the last several months. And we're doing some pretty great things, and we stand by to do a lot of training. We build learning management systems, and we love to fly. So and our data is still, our data's fantastic. Like it's always, especially in the LiDAR domain, it's always held up to a ridiculous amount of scrutiny. So there's been a lot of things that we've done in the industry. So that's Juniper Unmanned. I think we're going to open it up to questions. It looks like we have a few. Let's see if I can open this up a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to pop that out. There we go. And I can see the question much better. Okay. Wow. We have several questions. Wow. This is great. Great. So let's see. What is the cost benefit between the Skycatch workflow versus processing it in a back office? That is a great question. Jackie, do you want to take that one?
Let me read it again.
Oh, sure. It's a good question, Matt.
I was looking at the other question. Go ahead and add your 2 cents while I find that one.
Oh, no worries. No, I mean, so my 2 cents on that is I can do it all, not in the back office, right? So the HPP package, just the cost benefit is I don't have to return to the office. I don't have to have a separate piece of software. It's all processed in the field. So the cost benefit for me is I can give the customer the data there in the field with the same accuracy spec as me processing it in the back office. So I don't have a back office task as I would with the traditional GCP workflow. That's just one for me cost benefit.
Yeah, and to add to that, sometimes with other solutions, you have to wait to get back to the office to see if you covered everything you need or if the accuracy was done. There's a fix with the RTK, and there can be a ton of issues that happen before you actually see the data. And the benefit of being able to see the data in field is that it's done right the first time, and you don't have to leave and wait to have to recollect something later. So it's just a matter of being able to capture that data, get it all in the same swoop, all in one time.
Awesome. Now, there's a couple questions about what other drones is the Skycatch system compatible with. it looks like so right now, Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're also compatible with the Phantom 4 RTK. Is that correct?
We're launching that soon.
Awesome. But so not with the Mavic 2 Pro. It can't talk to the Mavic 2 Pro. Sorry, Joe. But it can soon. Not yet. True. Not yet. But it can. But I know that it's being launched soon, like Jackie said, with the Phantom.
Yeah. We'll get in touch with you and see how you can apply for that.
That's awesome. Matt also asked, can you use Ntrip VRS? You sure can. There's another workflow that allows you to use Ntrip. Let's see. You can use whatever. They have flexibility in the network RTK that you're able to use. Let's see. Why? Oh, all right, Nick. Here we go. Why PPK? Why? I say why not? Why not PPK? So RTK requires you to have a basically constant connection, constant carrier signature between the device and the rover, right? The base station and the rover. You have to have that. In a lot of these environments, you can maintain it, but in many you can't. Not consistently. And as soon as you lose it, it's gone. The solution's dead. PPK, post-process kinematic, allows you to do a forward and backward solution that doesn't rely on maintaining that signal during the flight to correct it real time. So it's just much more efficient, it's much more effective in getting that precision solution than RTK. That's kind of my answer there. Let's see. I can answer this one. So how does the solution handle, Corey asked this one, mapping piping, pipe racks, meter stations, and oil and gas. It's funny, we just flew a few processing stations, some pump jacks, some meter stations. We just flew some of these out here in northern Colorado, and it does it because it's a nadir sensor, and you can fly it fairly low. You can get really great resolution to create an ortho. Now the thing that, because I don't work for Skycatch, I can say this. Not bad mouthing at all. It is a great solution. It doesn't, because it's a nadir camera, any nadir camera is going to have a hard time filling in facades and getting that minute detail that you may be looking for mapping individual piping at these oil and gas stations. So, I would say it's still overall for, construction site monitoring and getting the overall, the perimeter and all of those things for oil and gas. It's still a wonderful solution, and our customers love it. But for mapping like intricate detail of like the pipe racks and the piping, there's just a better solution out there. So I thought I'd throw that out there. See, I'm not even on the Skycatch payroll, but I can answer that question.
You did great.
All right, let's see, Cameron, what is the final output format and typical size? Now, obviously, the size is gonna depend. The output formats are all your traditional. So the orthos are GeoTIFFs, the point clouds are LAS files. You can get the contours, I believe, in DXF formats. There's the typical size obviously depends on the site, but they're fairly typical for the type of product that they are. A couple hundred megabytes, maybe for an ortho of a 50-acre size, possibly. There's just a lot of other things that go into that, but the sizes are typical for a traditional SSFM photogrammetry workflow.
Okay.
And let's see, Jackie, are there any other questions that you wanted to answer?
No, there's not. You stole my last one. Just kidding.
I
think
that's not true. There's another one there.
So there's some good ones. So this price range, training, we will definitely get in touch with you for the Switzerland question. We have European resources that we can cover there, and both Juniper Unmanned and Skycatch offer extensive training. We both have learning management systems. Juniper Unmanned can help you build one if you needed it, and we offer on-site training and online training, as well as 24/7 services and support. So you're well covered in that regard. So I think that's it for a webinar, but we appreciate everybody coming. You'll get a copy of the presentation after, and our information is there if you have any questions. Thank you for joining.
That was so much fun. Thanks, everybody.